This is what barbecue will do. You just let everything grow and you have patience.
We have Matt Stroud and Trisha Stroud.
I say all the time, internet killed cooking, just because there's so many different ways of doing so many different things. Simple is better.
Tried and true.
That's just what we do. It's a family-run, family-oriented restaurant.
We live in Texas, barbecue country. How are you standing out? How are you winning these awards? What's separating you from everyone else?
You know, some of it is, that's all we want to do. I basically brought my backyard inside.
And these are all recipes that and I did cook a little, but it's the meats, the way he smoked it before, until our life changed. And I was diagnosed with allergic to garlic.
Oh.
Welcome everyone to the Marketing for Good podcast. We just rebranded it this week. I was taking a shower and I'm like, I want something different. I want something that's more on brand with what I feel we need to be doing with Marketing for Good podcast. And today we're recording the next episode of the Local Business Legends series, which started a few weeks ago. And I'm excited because it's really blowing up. And then a friend of mine reached out and said, you have to talk to these guys. Stroud. I was trying to figure out. I've been hearing you. Strouderosa. You got to tell me that story in a second. But for now, we have Matt Stroud and
Trisha Stroud.
Trisha Stroud. Thank you very much. So before we get started, tell us a little bit about your story without going deep. How did we get here?
Go ahead.
Well, Matt was in the natural gas pipeline. He was a welder, and we traveled all over the country for his job. Lived in our camper, traveled with him, the kids, and we homeschooled the kids. It was just adventures. He used to make jalapeno barbecue sauce just for fun. And we would...
People do that just for fun?
Yeah. He would travel to Ohio, West Virginia and take these and people would buy them. So we kind of came up with our Strouderosa thinking one day we'll retire, maybe sell barbecue sauce to grocery stores or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the pandemic happened.
Okay.
So he was on furlough from his job and we were just kind of sitting there thinking, cool, how are they going to make money? You know, we're just sitting here with no job. And a mom on the Lake Highlands Mama's Facebook page.
There's always a Facebook page.
It's always a Facebook page with the moms especially. But in November of 2020, she posted, where can I get a smoked turkey? And he had just bought the smoker that I was so annoyed about. But he bought it. And I said, hey, babe, can we do this for her? He's like, I can get 8 turkeys on at one time. We're already doing one for our neighbor. We're doing 2 with our family and 2 for us. So we're like, cool, we could fit a couple more. So I replied, hey, we can do that. And 32 moms messaged me.
Wow.
That I didn't know. I was just a mom that said, hey, this is a great place to get a bounce house. Here, get your haircut here. And now I'm saying I can cook you a turkey and 32 moms want their turkey from me. So we kind of just said,
okay,
cool. Text me. Here's my Venmo, because we just had the Venmo set up for Strouderosa since we were selling the barbecue sauce. And then it kind of just progressed. Like, what do you do in sides? We're like, well, I'm not a business, but hey, can we do some sides? He's like, cool. Do your green bean casserole. Literally all the store-bought stuff. But anyway, that's how we started.
So I have to ask you. So she comes to you and she says, hey, we got some work. We got some orders. What are you thinking?
Well, the work wasn't the work. The doing of the turkeys was, it's a 3 to 4 day process on doing turkeys. I mean, because every turkey comes frozen, period. So you got to thaw them out. And if you're brining, that's 2 to 3 days, give or take, on your brine method. And then if you inject, there's an hour or 2 of them injecting, depending on how many turkeys you got. So when I heard 32 turkeys, and that was just the orders, plus all the sides and fixings, I looked at her and I'm like, oh, do you love me today? But we sat there and rocked and rolled, and I bought just about every Igloo 120 quart cooler I could find from here to Costco, Sam's, and Academy, and bought.
You wiped them all.
Wiped them all clean, and we had turkeys in coolers and cooling down, and
you had a whole process.
People were picking them up right out of the coolers, and it was just, You know,
See them.
I didn't want
Get out the road.
anybody to see what was going on,
That's a lot of trust.
but I didn't.
Right?
But we bought every bag of ice I could buy and everything that I could think of storing, and bought an extra refrigerator, another freezer.
Wow.
And off the ground we were going. And then they started asking, what are we doing for Christmas? And I go, whoa, what is going on? I was like, y'all just wait a second. And we turned around on Christmas and doubled our orders and had 64 turkeys and about 500 pounds of prime rib, plus all the fixings and the vittles that go along with it on Christmas dinner.
So I have to ask you, because I've noticed that this is something special for certain people. It's like a passion. I have some friends. I think your aunt was doing barbecue stuff as well, like on competitions. Like, what is it about this type of work and grilling and all that?
Okay, and I just get the tingly feeling. What gets me on a cook? It's the science behind it. It's the cooking method. It's old school cooking. You know, I say all the time, internet killed cooking, just because there's so many different ways of doing so many different things. I stepped back on my basic barbecue career and I went back to what my dad taught me and what I learned from friends and family, meemaws and grandmas and things like that growing up. And simple is better.
Tried and true.
Simple is better.
Mm.
And where did we learn how to barbecue? We learned from an old way of cooking, an old slave way of cooking, and they got the bad pieces of meat. And once they figured out how to cook them pieces of meat, guess what? Everybody's down there eating with them. And I owe all my homage to that era, because we wouldn't have barbecue without it. And it's a trialing time, but we would not have barbecue without that. And anybody can save face on that. But to go back to cook in the old days, yeah, we're cooking on commercial smokers and stuff like that, but just an open pit like East Coast does, Georgia does, that's cooking. That's cooking. Open fire cooking. That's just a passion on anybody who cooks on open fire. Anybody who cooks in the kitchen is just a passion. And my dad installed that passion. And the first thing I ever cooked for my dad by myself, I was 6 years old and jumped on a gas stove and made some freaking French toast for me and my buddy Russell and my daddy.
You just made it happen. That's impressive.
That was the first thing. I was like, hey, y'all got to come over here and cook. In fact, I ran into Russell and he told me that same story. And I'm like, I forgot that.
It's a core memory for him too.
Yeah,
40 years ago.
You know, it's a core memory. And yeah, it was Dad. I mean, Dad could open up a refrigerator, figure out what we're eating. And
based on what's in there.
But yeah, because I mean, we were hunting and fishing, and that was a lot of our groceries when we were growing up. We only went to the grocery store to get milk and roughly underwear. That was about it. We hunt and fished every weekend.
Fantastic. That's really insightful, and it lets me into the mind of these individuals like yourself, because I couldn't understand it. Like, why do you want to sit out there for hours on end and cook for others? But clearly it's a passion, and she's a cook, by the way.
She doesn't.
Right. And that was my next question.
But she doesn't understand it at all. When we started doing this through COVID and all this as a startup, man, people ask me, how long does it take to cook a brisket? I was like, well, that brisket's going to be done when that brisket's done. I mean, I've had a brisket done in 8 hours, and I've had one take every bit of 20 hours to go. You get stuck on a stall, and she sat there one day and says, hey, she's like, hey, babe, why don't you just go to bed? I'm like, yeah, like that's going to happen. I'll take this watch. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll sit back with a case of Miller Lite and just watch that fire. And that's what I did and pulled it.
I can't help but feel that there's a resemblance to that experience as there is to fishing.
Absolutely.
Right? You're just fishing and you're just chilling. I fished once in my life, and I remember that feeling like we're not doing anything, but I really feel fulfilled. Like we had some beers. A buddy of mine took me out to Gun Barrel, Texas. We sat there and fished, and I'm like, I could do this again. I haven't, but I could do that.
I don't ask him what time he's coming over. He's going fishing.
Oh, okay.
I know it's going to be
a while.
Yeah.
It's just the experience of it itself.
Yeah, she started asking me, "Is like, how many beers you got left?" I go, "We got about a case." It's like, all right, I'll see you in about.
Do you have another case? Is it just one?
Call me if you go to the store again.
Right, so I can refill. So I have to ask you, what was that transition like for you to understand a man of this caliber and quality?
So all along that we've been together, he would smoke meats, for our kids' birthday parties, for if we had, any kind of party. We like to have people over at our house. So he would love to smoke meats. So I understood a little bit about it. I didn't grow up eating barbecue like that. My dad never did this. I mean, he likes his steaks well done. So this was a very different thing for me.
Sacrilegious.
I growing up, I did retail, but I never did restaurant. So I have no idea. I had no food background. I didn't care about it. I didn't really think I needed to. Yeah.
Cooked.
Like, let me order my drinks and my food and I'm good. So for us to look at this as like, okay, let's turn his passion into something that can maybe give us money until he was going to go back to work. And man, I'm still learning. Like, this is 5 years in now at this point, and I'm still learning things, but I don't cook. I help him make the recipes. Yeah, I'm the everything else. He does the kitchen stuff. I mean, I help him prepare the caterings. I go with him and we do the caterings together. I can serve. But yeah, this was different. I feel like I had good training, being that I had high-end customer service. I worked at Saks Fifth Avenue for 12 years. So I know how to deal with good customer service. But the other side, this is a lot harder. The cooking.
Yeah. The cooking itself, and then just even running this joint. One of my base, I used to be in the grocery business. I was in management for 18 years, so I can relate. And the well done steak, sorry. Everybody looked at me. She still looks at me the same way. But where was I going with that? Darn it, where the heck was I going with that? One of the rules I had as I was aging and moving along is I had opportunities to work at restaurants. I'm like, absolutely not. I refuse to work in a restaurant. It's bad enough the customer service, the running and gunning, but in a restaurant now you're in a little tight space, and the idea of trying to manage that and people's attitudes and just trying to give good service, it's challenging. So is it fair to say that you never really planned on opening a restaurant?
Oh, it's 100% fair to say. It was never in our retirement and our life plan, our 5-year plan. It was never in anything. He was going to be a welder. I was going to stay at home mom. That was important for both of us to.
I was either going to die on the job or die after I get off the job.
Right. Like, we thought he was going to be a welder until retirement or dying. Of course we were hoping to retire at a decent age to be able to do things together and as a family. But I really thought we were going to be traveling the country and just on our adventures for decades.
So what was the flip? When did you know, like, what, let's open up a restaurant?
COVID. I mean, unfortunately and unfortunately for a lot of people, I lost my job on top of being in COVID, along with everybody else trying to figure out what to do with your kids and money and things like that. And, you set aside a nest egg that you think is good enough. Well, sometimes you're wrong in that number. Right. And we were wrong on that number that year. And, it was either, sling some steel or sling some meat, and meat was a lot quicker to sling than steel because there was nothing going on.
And it was
absolutely nothing going on.
It was so nice to be home too. Quiet kids at 7:00, don't run in the camper, so it was nice to be at our house for so long. But once, the end of 2020, and we got great feedback on the Christmas, and we did New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were like, you know what? We had 90 people order a 32-ounce container of Black Eyed Peas from us. We're like, you know what? Let's try to see if we could do, because we had 2 friends that I knew in the neighborhood. They were other moms that do meal delivery, and they had done it pre-COVID. But I was like, okay, let me pick their brains. So I checked to see what days they were delivering, and I chose the day neither one of them were delivering. So I said, Wednesdays. We're delivering Wednesdays. So we started doing family meals. And this was just an idea to get us through maybe like the next year for when maybe the pipeline was going to pick up or reopen. We had every intention of him going back to work, to his career that he made great money on. I didn't have to work. I could be with the kids and we can be with him. And then the job still never opened up. The Keystone was closed. So we were like, wow. So in 22, we were like, look, we need to figure out, are you shifting careers? Or are we going to go 100% into this food? And I was like, I don't really want to go 100% into this food. I don't have a restaurant background. I have my associates in business. I don't know how to do this. So we were talking about it and just kind of prayed about it, and we were like, you know what?
No, we prayed about it, and it was the good Lord that put a hand on us and said, "Hey, this is what you need to do." And you know, he opened the door, and man, as soon as he opened the door, the other doors all closed, and
That's what it felt like.
it just. I'm like, Lord, this is really what you want me to do? You know, come on.
And you sure you want me to do this?
You know, and we went through a lot of trial and tribulation and trying to figure out the means
to get it out of our house,
to get going.
Whether we're going to do a restaurant or keep going from our house.
You know, and then things just kind of fell into place. He put things that were supposed to be here.
The right
and
people,
then,
the right
and then it all got taken away and it all went to crap. And then it's like, then we had to rebrand and build again.
We closed within the first month. We got rid of almost our whole entire kitchen staff.
So this is your second round?
Well, no. So we opened the end of May 23.
Okay.
We were open for barely 1 week. And we were like, this is not right.
And it cost us a little bit of money on a bunch of food I gave away.
It wasn't the right staff for the meat.
The right staff.
So we closed,
so we revamped and
reopened,
hired some new people and started going and started training. And those people aren't here anymore. And then right now we're in a position with the kitchen staff is straight A game.
We got our 18 now.
We got our 18 from the front end to the back. And it took a while. It took 1.5 years to figure it out.
It's a different skill set.
It is.
Running and managing.
We didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to hire you because look, you've worked at 6 restaurants. You're great. You're going to do that. You're going to teach me.
Right.
Okay, that didn't always happen. So
there's a reason they worked at 6 restaurants.
Yeah, well, I tell you, the more you have on a resume,
you almost don't want them.
The more BS it is. Yeah. The more things on a resume, the more BS it is. On what we experienced, and it wasn't the. I'd rather have somebody I can come in here and train and show, and that's where we started back with.
That's fantastic move.
But you know, as far as getting it all out of the house, we got it out of the house and then shut it down, and then
we looked
for
almost 6 months to find this place. Okay. And I'll be honest, this wasn't our favorite option. This isn't the area that we wanted to be in. It was what we could afford. If we were going to make this jump, we had no idea what it was going to cost, how much sale. Sure, we have like about 120 customers that were pretty regular, or at least would always order for holidays or whatever this. But that doesn't mean they're going to come in. Right. And so we were like, we need to have a somewhat affordable rent in case this backfires on us. And boy, did it backfire, because those people didn't necessarily come in. Yeah. And I mean, there were people that maybe were ordering regularly, and then like maybe they haven't even come in the restaurant at all.
Wow.
You know,
that's
so
unfortunate.
because we were doing meal delivery, we were dropping off at your door. So we were like,
oh, yeah, that's different for sure. Okay.
It's a different concept. But yeah, we took about 6 months to find this place. And July of 22, we signed the lease, and it was a quote unquote move-in ready. It was fully
ready for a restaurant.
Ready to go. Yeah. Had tables, chairs, had everything in the kitchen. And we were like, great, let's do this. And 3 months later, we're still not done. Still 3 months later. Then my dad had a stroke, and I had to step back and take care of him. So it was really him in here, and my cousin and my brother and one of his some friends. Just
whoever I could find to help when I couldn't do something by myself.
We didn't have investors. We didn't have loans. We came in with that said retirement that we had, and a 3-month turnkey move-in ready place took 11 months to open.
Oh my goodness.
And so, and a lot more money than it was supposed to. We basically
rebuilt a whole, we gutted it and rebuilt everything from the floor up.
The only thing that's here is that "Let's Meet Here" sign. Ironically was here.
Okay. When do you feel that you did turn the corner and like you see promise? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you won some type of award. Is there a trophy for it?
Yeah, we've got a couple. We
got entrepreneur of the year from the East Dallas Chamber.
The Chamber, right?
We've got that, and then we did best barbecue 2023 for Observer, and done some stuff with the Advocate. Got second place on Advocate. Last couple of years that we really pushed.
Even when we were in our house, we got second place for 2 years.
So in East Dallas, and A bunch of other things where there's some things that popped up on Facebook and Instagram and all that ticky-tacky crap. You know, because I'm just old school and don't do it. But,
I'm learning.
you know, we won, got best overall on our reviews and everything, got best barbecue through our reviews in Google and Yelp and all that.
Great segue into, we live in Texas, barbecue country, and Texans are very particular about their barbecue. How are you standing out? How are you winning these awards? What's separating you from everyone else? Because that's a pretty impressive resume you just spit.
You know, some of it is surprising on me on when I see that, because they're just, some of these folks have gone in and just looked at all the reviews of Texas barbecue, and we rank up there pretty high. Have they physically come in? I do not know. But the ones who have, and we have delighted, have raved about us left and right. You know, each pit master and each barbecue restaurant's going to have a good day and it's going to have a bad day. It happens with everybody in any corporate or job or anything, whether you're a housewife, pit master, or president, it doesn't matter. You're going to have a bad day, you know? And I would just like for everybody out there to know, is like, if you have a bad day, come back next week. It's going to be it's going to be different.
Be a different brisket.
It's going to be a different brisket. You know, each meat's different. Each rub's different. You know, sometimes the wood's going to be different every other smoke.
There's so many ingredients.
There's so many different things to deal with that the common person on barbecue that doesn't know it doesn't understand the factors. Or, you know, I can't just have barbecue ready to go in 30 minutes. Or it just doesn't work that way on my end. It might work that way on somebody else's end, but it doesn't work like that on me. But it's a struggle to have the straight line consistency. And, you know, there's been a time that I wasn't consistent on one thing that I've struggled with, and that would be my ribs. I have a bark issue that I had a problem getting through on a smoker that I was really wanting to smoke all my ribs on. Well, we ended up pulling back and going back to the old school way, and it started being just fine again. Just revamped and went back.
Okay.
Well, I think we listen to people, and
the feedback.
We really like feedback, good, bad, great, whatever. Because if we get enough feedback on one certain thing, like we did,
There's something there.
We only had one sandwich, so people are like, I need a smaller sandwich. So after 2 months, now we have 2 sandwich sizes. You know, little things like that. But I think that we try to talk to everybody. If we're here, especially one of us, you're going to get at least one of us one time, and we ask people, please, hey, how did you hear about us? They're like, oh, Nextdoor or Google. Okay, will you pay it forward? Will you leave us a review on Nextdoor? Will you leave us a review on Google? And so I think that's probably how we're getting the good reviews. And I mean, that is how we're getting the good reviews.
Right. You're giving good food, but also to me, it's just as important as you're winning awards in your space.
Yeah.
And it seems to be pretty competitive. You guys, I have a friend on Facebook that's always competing every other weekend somewhere. Driving over there, I'm like, that's crazy. So it's somewhat competitive. People are particular, and yet you still seem to have done well. You're pulling these awards, and you're killing it. Frankly, from what I can tell.
Why people are coming in.
Is that what it is?
We're finally getting over that hump and that struggle in the first year. I mean, that struggle in the first year. Now we're in the struggle of the second year.
We go back and forth all the time if we're going to close.
It's a little bit different, you know, and what we have to do on that when we start even talking about that is like we stop talking about it for a minute and we go and pray about it. And that's just how we run this business now is it's a faith-based business, and we try to run it to our best ability.
That's good to hear. I have to ask you next. You're natives of East Dallas?
Yes.
Yep. Born and raised.
We went to Lake Highlands High School together.
Both of you graduated from Lake Highlands. Was it important to stay in East Dallas?
No, not at all.
No.
I know people want us to say yes, but no. Well, what it was.
I stayed because of my dad, and I wanted to be close to him and my stepmother. She's my mother, and
my parents.
Her parents. And
we were within a mile of both of them. We purposely bought our home to be close to both. Luckily, our parents were just a block apart.
Are you kidding?
So we're just the next block over. So, because our parents were in the same original homes that like when we were in high school. So for us, it was, especially me and for him thinking with us traveling, if I can be home with the kids by myself and then I have my family.
Then you got a support house system.
Yeah. So, and we have a great support system on both, with our family. So I'm grateful for that. But I hate to say it, that's the only reason we were here was our family. I'm the third generation Lake Highlands in this same house. So.
What about for the business? Was that intentional or like, hey, it just worked out that way?
It just kind of worked out that way, but no, we were looking to the best bang for the buck is how any business.
We did want to stay here because we live here and because our client base was here.
Primarily that.
We did deliver a little bit to Richardson and Highland Park, but during the pandemic, we're delivering to everybody in Lake Highlands. So we needed to be here, one, to be close to home, but two, to be where our fan base was. So that's technically the only reason we're here.
Here I was thinking you were going to give some mad love to East Dallas. And
okay, rewind that. Yeah, no. I hate to say that, but it's like, we aren't married to this location at all necessarily. We would have loved to have been closer to like a highway that's, more popular, like right off of 75 or something like that, because then maybe we would be busier.
You have this bridge going over here that's sexy. So what's that going to happen here? The first time I moved out of the house and really started to be a man, I got an apartment on the other side of that bridge. I forget that was 30 years ago. Yes, it's way different. I was over there recently and like, crap, what the hell happened over here?
Yeah.
There's not a single business over there except for Burger Street that
And gas pipe.
Yeah, there used to be a bunch of small little mom and pop shops. But having said that, I'm curious, do you see yourself growing? Do you see yourself expanding? Is there visions for that if things go well?
There's dreams of that.
Okay.
There's absolutely.
I don't know if it's actually achievable, but there's dreams of it because if we're going to do this, we want to keep going and we want to do bigger, better. The whole thing is Strouding it up. That's what we joke about.
Okay.
That's what we used to say. Like we want to do this. Well, we're going to Stroud it up because we're going to go to the next level. We're going to keep going up. So we try to we're literally like go big, go home.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely, it's either feast or famine, and we're go big or go home, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to go big, and we're going to go big, and if we can't get there, then we're going to go home.
We're big personalities, both of us. Somehow it still works, but we kind of feel like that needs to we need to match
it. Is an epic mustache. I haven't even mentioned that he has an epic mustache. Make sure you get that. I tried to do that. It didn't work.
Oh, that's another topic.
That's a whole nother. But this is somewhat new. Just a lot.
This is what barbecue will do. You just let everything grow, and you have patience.
So we just would love to go the next step. We have ideas of if we could get a bigger space with a patio and have a great smoke room. We would love to be able to have like people walk back. Cause you can go look at our smokers, but it's right in the kitchen. So it's really tricky to give tours to people. We love it to be able to guys, go kick the tires and be like, hey, we love for the guys to be able to,
Absolutely.
exactly. Drink your beer. And we'd love to do classes like where he could teach people how to trim and season. And then like the magic of Teevee. Then here comes the smoked brisket and then slice it. And that's him. He's a shower. He's a storyteller. He loves the experience and he would love to do that whole shebang.
That would be epic when you get to that point.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
and that's the goal. That's the goal in life is to teach somebody that doesn't know how to do it.
I'll sign up.
We can, each pit master cooks however many briskets and turkeys and chickens and all this, but let's help you focus on that one. We know how to focus on that one, but now we're focusing on 1,000 pounds of meat at a time. And that's the other thing that's behind the scenes that some people don't understand. It's like, hey, you're doing all this, but I want to eat that one right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one I want to eat. Well, let's focus on that one. So it'd be great to, hey, I'm smoking a brisket, Matt. What do I need to do? Here's my phone number. Call me up.
He's done that. He just did that last week.
Yeah, we had a customer that got stuck out of town, had a barbecue competition. Hey, can you trim my brisket? I was like,
You're coaching him up.
Bring it up here.
Wife.
And the wife, we showed Mr. Oliver's wife what was going on and what we did and how to do it. And here's my number. If you got any questions.
Wow.
I was like, well, my husband will be here about 9 or 10 o'clock, then I'll release it to him. And I ran into her husband
a couple days later.
this Saturday. He's like, hey, everything was great. you talked the wife up and the wife was taking charge. And I was like, hey, that was great. That's how I needed to be. So it was pretty fun. You know,
I think I figured out why you're starting to do well, transitioning into the next phase. Y'all are good people. Y'all are investing in people. Y'all are willing to make it an experience, and people are. I think there's only so much. Even if the food is great, it only goes so far. It's the other part, and this is through my own marketing experience, is the experience itself. The experience is what creates that extra. And
if you come here with great food
remember
and
the
you have
most.
terrible service, you're not going to want to come back.
You know, we were first open, and I'll tell you the best experience in the world. There's two of them that go right along with it. And I had a customer that ordered through us and had stuff delivered, but she calls up and says, "Hey, Matt," it's like, "Hey, my kids don't eat anything. All they eat is McDonald's and chicken nuggets, like every other kid that depends on McDonald's." It's like, "Do you mind if we bring that in?" I was like, "All right, y'all bring it in. But on top of that, I'm going to try something." And I'm like, okay. So now that family comes in every other Friday night, and they don't bring in McDonald's, and I tempted them with the turkey or smoked turkey and green beans, and they order that every time they come in.
They won't try anything else because they stuck with the two things that they were willing to try that first time.
And after about a week or two of them coming in with McDonald's, I got them hooked on turkey and that. And they were like, "Hey, that's the greatest thing." And then another thing, a young man named Connor said, "Oh, he melts my heart every time he comes in." And for some reason, I don't even know how to say it. It's the grace of God is all I can say, is that he put that young man in my life, and that young man melts my heart every time he comes in. And he's what, 6? 5, 6. And he's the only kid that'll come back there if I'm not out here, open up the doors and go, "Hey, where's Matt?" He
says, "Where's Matt? Where's Matt?" As he walks from the door. The parents will go sit and take a table. I'll talk to them. He's like, "Where's Matt?" He will go look. Yes. He knows where to look. And he will not talk to anybody else, give you his order, tell you what he wants to drink until he talks to Matt.
What did you do, Matt?
I don't know. He boops him. He's like, "Gonna boop you," and he boops him on his nose.
Yep, he comes
and
up
then
and
he'll come.
He comes up, he boosts me on the nose, puts his big arms around me, and I just bear hug him, and we walk around, and we're family. We're family, and that's the main thing that we like to do is your family. Once you walk in the door, we want to treat you like family, and you got any questions, we're going to answer them. And you know what? When you leave that door and you leave behind, and those doors closed, we might even cuss you like family. You never know, But that's just what we do. It's a family run, family run, orientated, just restaurant. I mean, that's all we want to do. I basically brought my backyard inside.
That's the line of the show right there.
Yeah, I brought my backyard inside.
And these are all recipes that I did cook a little. The green beans are my recipe.
We'll make sure to feature that as well.
But it was things that we made at home. The candy carrots he's been making his whole life, right? The potato salad we did kind of come up with together, but it's the meats, the way he smoked it before, until our life changed. And I was diagnosed with allergic to garlic.
Oh, divorce.
There
was some talk about it. I looked at it.
He's joking. No, but he had to change
the recipe
for all the rubs. So, I mean, it's salt and pepper.
I thought this was going to go really dark, but it did kind of go dark. I'm like, oh no, are we going to have some therapy here?
No,
I'm ready.
But yeah, I mean, she was diagnosed with being allergic to garlic, cauliflower, and corn, which is
hard
when I was eating gluten free. That's how I found out. I turned cleaner to eating gluten free, and I was eating like cauliflower rice and
wow.
And
yeah, that's
that's how I found out I was allergic to it. So,
kept having a headache. I was like, "We'll figure out why we're having headaches."
Migraine.
I'm not talking, so I'm not getting you the headache.
No, boy. Yeah.
I'm out.
But, so we had to tweak some things for that just because, I mean, I guess we didn't have to, but I can eat it.
Yeah.
And I'm back there helping. I do the dishes like whenever, because we do have jalapeno corn and we couldn't take that off because it's a number one seller. We have 2 customers that only ordered that corn every holiday. They don't come in the restaurant any other time. But I'm like, well, I can't take that away. So I don't do the dishes. I don't clean up after that just in case, but we're careful with that. But other than that, it's just, it's like I said, it's food that we've made. We just kind of brought it here. We've tweaked some things. We get some feedback, but we just want to make yummy food, yummy meat, yummy sides. Yummy people.
We're definitely in a time, I think, where there's a massive movement to connect with businesses like yours. I think there's individuals, myself I try to, as much as I possibly can, is not go to major chains, because they don't know us, they don't care about us, they're not going to sit down and talk to us. What you just described, and with especially with that little boy, like nobody else is going to do that. Like, people are starving for real connections with real humans, and what you do, the food is great. I'm hearing that it's great. I'm gonna have to have some. I just had some yesterday because it needed to be tender because of my missing tooth. Story for another day, guys. But you create something that's missing in the culture and in popular, like everything that's popular is impersonal. Like every McDonald's, they don't give a flying flip about you. But what you're creating is an experience and a memory, and obviously people are going to talk, and they're going to share, and it's going to continue to grow. Obviously, the key part there for me is it takes time. When I started my business, it took about 4 or 5 years before I started to gain traction. Luckily, it was just me. She was along for the ride. But you guys clearly are doing something right. And personally, I would love for you to continue thriving, and don't shut up. Don't shut it down. You're like, what we talking about? Shut it down. Don't shut it down.
Well,
and I'm sure you're kind of half joking, but
no, and there was a time that I looked at her and I looked at her and I looked at her hard and I said, "Hey, babe, I'm done."
But he made me cry, and he had said that before, and I'm always like, "Look, we put our whole retirement into this, and it's gone." So, no, we're going to keep going. We're going to see it through. We're going to see it through. We're going to be like, we're going to make a name for ourselves. Well, I trademarked it, so technically we own it. But, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep trucking. And at some point, this is going to pan out. And I know that everybody's like, you make it the first year. Okay, you're great. You're going to make it the first 3 years. You're great. Make it 7, then you're in.
Yeah.
Cool. You barely made it 1. Right. So how many more, but last summer, I was like, I'm done. I'm tired of stressing to be, where am I going to pay payroll? We're using our own personal money to pay. I'm maxing out my credit cards to make sure I can get food ordered. It's
robbing Paul to pay Peter.
And it's what it is. And we're just floating. Like, we make enough every week to pay payroll and order food for the following week. I don't make enough to pay rent, taxes, insurance, anything. That's all that's coming out of our pockets, and those pockets are gone. So it's like, now what do we do? I don't want to go get like another job to support us while we're doing this new dream. And I know that's a broken record. Every small business says that, and I get it. But at the same time, I'm in it.
Right.
And I think, if it's going to affect our kids or affect us, we're out. We're 19 years together at this point. Like, we're going to stick it out, So if it means we're quitting this, we're quitting this.
But I get it.
We're going to keep going. We're going to try,
It's always family comes
We'll be 2 years in June. And so we're just trying to do things that set us apart. And we just keep trying to step up something and come up with something new to get us out there more.
Well, hopefully this podcast will help do that. My expectation is that it will, with every ounce in my heart.
I love it.
And I think once you come in, we've got you. Like, I think even if, you came in, you weren't sure about the food, but there's going to be something that you like. I think when you come in, you come back. It's just getting them in.
Final thoughts, because that's actually a great segue to end today's podcast. What would you like to say to the people? Actually, I could end right there, but what would you like to say, Matt, in terms of people giving it a shot?
I mean, we strive on customer service. I've not beaten it, but relayed it to our servers to stay off your phone. Stay off your phone. And that's a battle. Everybody's battle. But you know what? Attend to the needs. Pay attention. Let's take it back to old school freaking service. Let's talk. Let's visit. Let's do this. Let's hang out. Let's not sit down at the table and visit. Let's stand up and visit and interact. Stay off your damn phone. Stay off the phone. I mean, and in fact, I had a customer stop me in church 2 weeks ago and said nothing about the food. It was great.
It was gonna be good.
What does that mean?
I was like, well, how was the food? He's like, oh, no, it was great. But here's what I want to tell you is I walked in there Friday night, 5:00. Wasn't super busy, but your employees were not on the phone. They were all talking to me. They were all communicating with me, explaining questions and all the questions that I asked. All the answers were given, and he just went above and beyond to tell about the service that we had here. And I had to mention the meat. He's like, how was the meat?
But
He's
I do
like,
want to hear.
Yeah, I want to hear
Tell me about that.
But the fact that we're pounding, stay off your phone. Let's do customer service. Don't get caught doing this, doing that. And it works. Yeah. And it works. If I got to flag you down to say, hey, I'd like to order, a $30 steak or a $50 steak, you know what? I'm probably going to go to Jack in the Box and go to their little computer and order their own stuff. Not have to talk to anybody and know it's going to suck. But I'm paying that I know it's going to suck.
And I'm out. In and out.
And I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to a place to beg for your service.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And
going back to what I said earlier, if it's impersonal, I might as well go to an impersonal place where I can pay cheaper prices and not have to worry about it. So your fight is a legitimate one.
It is, and it's hard to find. But when we find them, we reward, and we keep our servers to the best that we can, and to what we can do.
Right.
But we want the servers to treat our customers the best that they can. And if we can't do that, then we find somebody else. Unfortunately, that's just how the world works.
It's the nature of it all now.
But, we want the A team, and we've got our A team, and we're working on it, and we strive every bit to have the A team. And that's it. If anybody's got any questions, call me, ask me, email me, text me, whatever.
Tiki-taki you?
Ticky-tacky me.
Oh, I'm like, I don't. Oh, yes, that's right. You
TikTok.
lost me.
Everybody's like, TikTok this. I was like, tic-tac that.
Tic-tac-toe this. Thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to make sure to include address, social media in this podcast to make sure that people know where to find you. I'm looking forward to having a meal here soon, bringing the family and the other family. I got more kids. Well, I have one more when she's in town. Yeah. I love barbecue, so it's just finding good places. There's one next to me that I'm pretty fond of. Luckily, it's like right next to where I live, off the bone. But I actually am always open to new spaces. She's always looking for spaces as well. She
Off the bone's good.
Yeah.
I mean, Slow Bone, all these barbecue guys that are popping up that have been up, man, they're awesome.
Yeah, he's been there forever, from what I understand.
I mean, there's something they're doing right, and that's what it is. It's a community that needs to support the community.
Yeah. So I look forward to putting this out, sharing it with the world. You have a fantastic story, and I'm curious to see you in 10 years.
Me too.
With that, my name is Teevee. This is the Marketing for Good podcast, and today we have been talking to local business legends. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, like, tiki-taki us, anything that you like. See you soon. Take care. Bye.